So welcome to our session today. So today's session is on teenagers and how to handle their mood swings. Okay. So before we start, let's do a short invocation. Let's close our eyes, connect the tongue to the palate. Inhale and exhale. Let's center ourselves. Let us be aware that we are invoking the Supreme God. Let's fill our hearts with reverence, with love. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, we thank you for your priceless blessings, for divine light, divine love, divine guidance, divine love, mercy, inner healing, physical healing. Thank you for the inner strength to practice regularly. Thank you for your divine help and protection, for illumination, abundance, and prosperity. Thank you for helping us to learn the techniques taught by Master CHOA Kok Sui to help us to deal with our children with love and compassion. Okay, so teenagers, right? So one of the things with teenagers that we see as parents is, of course, a lot of mood swings. And one of the things that we know biologically and medically, I guess, is that this is the time at which they reach puberty. And we also know that the hormones begin to develop. And apart from the development of the hormones, they also release hormones in like what we call spurts. So we need to be aware that what our teen is actually going through is a lot of inner bombardment. There's like these releases of hormones from the different parts of the body, especially, of course, from the sexual organs, and also, of course, from the ajna and from the throat, which is the thyroid gland. And then you have the heart, and then you have, all the entire endocrine system is basically expanding and growing. Because if you may have noticed that when children are young, until a certain age, you really can't tell at a very young age unless you look at the clothing whether the child is a male or female, right? But at puberty, that differentiation begins to happen, that sexual differentiation. So one thing that, we need to be aware of is that teenage mood swings is really the effect of a lot of hormones. Now, for some of us who may have experienced hormone bursts, either, especially as women, during menstrual cycles, or if you've experienced them if you're approaching menopause, or even if you're male, there is a male hormone cycle as well, which is not fully understood by me, but I'm sure you can find some information on it. So when we have a child who has a mood swing, the first thing that we need to probably be aware of is just compassion, that they are actually going through a lot inside. It's like they themselves don't know what's going on. So there are different hormones and they swing from place to place. So the point is, how do we as parents deal with it? Right. So one of the things that if you've done the workshop called Spiritual Business Management by Master CHOA Kok Sui, you will also remember that he talks of different cycles in our life. Now, the first cycle is from birth to the age of 7, and then the second cycle is from the age of 7 to 14. That's the period that we are generally talking about. And then, of course, there's 14 to 21. So first, let's talk about the 7 to 14 cycle. That's 7 years to 14 years. What's happening is that the child is becoming, from a child, is becoming a teenager. And the hormones are changing very, very rapidly. Then after they come to the age of 14, then there is what we call a growth spurt, which is that, the hormones have kind of already differentiated whether this being is going to be male or female. Of course, with all respect to those people who haven't decided which gender they wish to adopt. All respect to you also. If your body has not decided or your mind has not decided, that's also okay. But we are talking in general right now. So, once the body has decided what form it is going to take, male or female, then there begins a growth spurt. So what we find is that the teenage mood swing is related to hormones. So those of us who are healers, what we can do is we can do healing for our children, especially on those particular chakras that are controlling the endocrine system, okay, or the various endocrine glands also. Okay, that's one option, depending on, of course, what kind of mood swing your precious child is having. Okay. Now, the other thing, is that when we do the soul affirmation, which we're going to do shortly as a technique. So, of course, what we talked about is, of course, healing, which goes without saying. Then is understanding the hormones. So, within the years 7 to 14 is what Master calls short-term changes, in the sense that there is a lot of movement in that period. Okay, so we as parents had to just be aware that this is a natural state of being. So for those of us who have also been 7 to 14 at some point, try and think back at that time. Was it the first time that we were defiant with our parents, or was it the first time we were like, I have this headache, or I don't understand. Have you also seen children who are in between being a child and being an adult, where this is also a time when the person doesn't really fit in with being a child and also doesn't fit in with being an adult. So it's a really difficult time sometimes for certain children. So what we can do is, of course, we can do healing for them, but apart from that we can also do a lot of blessing, because what the blessing achieves is that it achieves, a lot of love needs to be surrounded, because they're going through so many changes inside. They need that stability, or what I would call, like, that bubble of love to surround them. And I know that's like the most difficult time for parents to actually love their children, because suddenly from obedient children they're becoming, people who are questioning pretty much everything, right? So it's a tough time, right? Now, for mood swings, another beautiful thing that Master has taught us is what we call Superbrain yoga. So we do this exercise regularly during the meditation. There's also a book called Superbrain Yoga by Dr. Glenn Mendoza, and the technique described in it is what Master Choa Kok Sui had clarified. Master clarified that this is a technique that was known to the ancient sages of India, and what they would do is that they would make the child do super brain yoga, which would help the child actually become more balanced. So over time, I guess the technique got corrupted and it started becoming what is called a punishment. So, it's like uthak baithak karna. It's like, if you go to rural schools, they still do uthak baithak. The problem also is that they're following the wrong technique now. They're often doing this, which is not the right technique. The right technique is like this. So basically, when you do it like this, it's not going to have the right effect. When you do it like this, that's when it has the right effect. And there is a science behind it, which has been explained by Master Choa Kok Sui, which was probably also known by the ancient sages of India, but somewhere it got corrupted. Okay, so what would be good is for us to make our children do super brain yoga. Now, of course, if the child has already reached the has become a teenager, it may be a little difficult for us to get them to do the exercise. So one of the things that I suggest at that point is to start young with the children. Probably when they're the age of 5 or 6, it's a good idea to start with super brain yoga with them. The second thing, of course, is a lot of blessing and a lot of love. Okay. Um, Now, one more thing that I can say is that once we understand as parents that a lot of this is being caused by hormones, then we can, for ourselves, just be aware of the soul affirmation, which says, I am not the body. Okay, so today let's try that particular part of the affirmation, but keeping in mind that we are going to use it as a technique. Okay, so let's close our eyes, connect the tongue to the palate one more time, and let us do the soul affirmation. I am that I am. I am not the body. The soul that occupies my child's body is also not that particular body. The hormones that are driving my child to have mood swings are also not the soul. My child is pure, is loving, is beautiful. My child is not the body that I see. My child is the soul. So, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to distance ourselves from this person who is our child, who is perhaps having mood swings and saying all kinds of things, having temper tantrums, things like that, right? So I am not the body. My child is also not the body. I am not the emotions. And my child's emotions are also not permanent. As my child grows up, they will change. As for me, I am not the emotions. I'm going to create good emotions. Let's think of one event that we would like, or one habit that we would like our children to change. And then let us say, I am not the emotion. These emotions that my child is producing are not the child. I is not the soul of the child. Okay. I am not the thoughts. I am going to create positive thoughts for my child. I am the soul. I am the soul. I am the soul. So this is a technique that I would highly recommend, that whenever you feel that you're going a little, upset with the child, or the child is doing something, let's just remind ourselves firstly that I am not the body, I am not the emotion. And try to listen to the children. They are changing. Sometimes they also possibly regret that they had a mood swing, but then, because already too much, you know anger has probably passed, or some words have been passed between the child and the parent, so the child also finds it difficult to apologize. So perhaps one of the things that we can do as parents is to approach the child and basically say something like, when you have an anger outburst, or when you have a mood tantrum, it affects me also. So I would request you to express what you want to say to me gently and kindly, and let's try to find the best solution that will work for both of us. Okay. If the child is not getting up on time, not eating on time, not doing all of those things, just be aware that the child is not the body, and the child is going through a lot of change. Okay. And for ourselves, the more important thing as parents is for us to remain stable. When we are stable, the children will automatically calm down. Okay. So let's try that. Let's be aware of our crown. Through the crown comes divine energy from God. Let's be aware of our heart. This is to soften the energy, to make it more physicalized. And with that, let's be aware of our crown. Feel the energy coming into the crown. Inhale. Feel the energy, feel your heart opening up. And let's raise our hands in blessing position like this. And now let's bless our teenagers, all the teenagers on the planet. Visualize the planet Earth. Visualize all the teenagers, many of whose college careers are on hold this whole year. Just imagine they're barely 20 and 1 year of their life has gone in this. So that's a large percentage of their time, right? So let's be aware of all the teenagers on the planet Earth. Let's bless them with patience, with love, with kindness. Let's also bless our own teenagers in our family. So basically, we're utilizing the law of karma. First, we are blessing every teenager on the planet, and then we are blessing our own family members and kids. Okay, inhale and exhale. Let's bless everyone with a strong immune system, with patience and kindness. Let's be aware of all the financial targets that the teenagers may have had. Let's bless them. Let's bless their health targets. This is also a time when they develop a lot of acne, and that's very disturbing for the children. So let's bless them with good skin. Let's bless them with an ability to handle their moods better. Let's bless them with spirituality. Let's bless our own financial targets, our health targets, our relationship and emotional targets, and our spiritual target. Inhale and exhale. So tomorrow we will do a technique. We know that it's really great if children do twin hearts meditation because it will really help them to study better, to absorb more information. So, and I also know that sometimes it's not that easy to get our children to do the meditation. So again, Master Choa Kok Sui has suggested a technique by which we can kind of help them do this. Okay, so we will discuss that technique tomorrow. For those of you who already know, it's the triangle technique, but we'll practice it again tomorrow. Okay, so with that, if you have any questions, you can put them on the chat box. Those of you who are watching the session later, this is a live session that we hold. So if you'd like to attend our live session, then you can join us by sending us a message on the WhatsApp number provided. Okay, so while Priya is almost ready, let's just massage our face, our crown, our scalp, our neck. Let's bring the consciousness back into our body. So do join us for the next session tomorrow. We will be covering teenage defiance and some techniques to deal with that. So that's it, and we'll see you soon. Bye.